Ladies and gentlemen, and all that lie in between, this is a trigger warning. In this episode, we talk about mental health and a lot of sex. It's inappropriate, so please just consider yourself trigger warned.
It's highly appropriate.
It's highly inappropriate. Welcome to Artist at Work Season 3, Episode 4.
Episode 4.
This one is called Be More Lamp, featuring Revolting Rosie and her smutty letters. And my goodness, it is a juicy episode. So sit back, relax, and listen to how artists work.
It's a really great episode. We hope you enjoy it.
It is. It's going to be nice.
It's a real nice one. So, Ra, have you got any news, babe?
Yeah, I do actually. I've got a few bits of news and I want to share them with you and also the people that listen to this podcast. Number one on the news is that I have really combined forces with you, and now we are doing a offer of Pay What You Can at Hello in conjunction with Hello Darling at Waterloo.
It's been really fun, hasn't it? It's been so exciting. We've worked with some incredible people.
And you've been the art director and I've been the photographer, and it's just really got me out of a grey time in my photography where everything was a bit drab, and now I'm just doing colour and queer and exciting people, and it's been nice. We've been circulating, we're vaccinated. It's wonderful.
Been really special, and we've been getting lovely behind the scenes shots of us working together, which has been really nice. The collaboration is real.
It really is.
I feel like I'm making so much noise on this cushion.
Somebody give the goddamn fucker a note.
Sorry. Like rustling away in the corner. Is that better?
Also, I suppose my main news, and it's slightly personal, is that I'm really adjusting quite well to living alone.
You're really enjoying yourself.
I'm just so healthy.
It's been a really nice transition to watch you go from going into a new situation, which is obviously always really difficult, to actually finding a really sexy groove and feeling comfortable with it. It's really nice.
Sexy, like I wake up, I play the piano, I make myself breakfast, I prep for meals. Sometimes I just order them on Deliveroo, but mostly
you've been having so much sushi. I'm jealous of you.
I know. I've really got a problem with Eero Sushi and their miso soup. It's just delightful. But all in all, I'm just becoming a stronger, healthier, more independent person who doesn't have to actually deal with people's voices in my head a lot.
That's really nice.
Except yours, it's really annoying.
Well, you're the voice in my head, but it used to be my mother, so it's a welcome escape.
But mostly it's just I'm building personal boundaries that I'm really struggling to, but learning to stop when I go too far or I do too much or I give too much. And #healthy.
But also the shift in your work has been really phenomenal. Like your energy for work has been amazing.
My energy in general, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm in a lot less pain generally because I'm going to a personal trainer. I'll talk about that later. And just getting physically stronger. And the pain makes me want to kill people. When I've got like pain in my ankles, pain in my wrist, pain in my fucking everywhere, I'm like, fuck everyone. And now I'm a little bit less like that.
That's
so
nice.
Yeah, I didn't think I would adjust to it so well, but turns out that I'm just, nailing it, getting stronger, getting full of more fight and having a nice little existence with too many plants.
We've both found getting stronger really good, haven't we? Like even just doing a few jobs. I mean, wallpapering a ceiling the other day. I'll get onto that.
That was something else.
My little arms.
My shoulders
have definitely felt stronger.
But
any other news?
I do have other news, and that is actually kind of about us both. We have entered the Taylor Wessing National Portrait Gallery Award.
So exciting.
Doesn't mean that we've won it, but basically entering is the same thing as winning.
Entering stuff is really important because I think it reminds you that there is a bigger picture with your artwork.
Yeah.
And was it free? I can't remember.
No, it's 20 quid.
It's 20 quid, which is really reasonable.
You can enter it, by the way, people. I think the deadline is sometime in June. Go there. If you have a portrait that you think speaks about humanity or England or the UK or Ireland or anywhere in the world at the minute, send it in.
Send it in. There are rules about what it is and how recently it was taken. Because I looked at an old image that I'd taken. I was like, oh, maybe I should enter. It does have to have been taken in.
It needs to be a now
recent
thing.
Picture.
George, you've got news. Amazing trays.
Oh, the amazing trays. My God, they're driving me a bit nuts, actually. I've gone slightly mad.
I love your trays.
I'm really enjoying the trays. I've been making these trays with resin in them, with my illustrations in them. And then recently I just got obsessed with stripes. Like
I love it. You've like 3 years in art school, maybe 4, and like you're now just drawing straight lines with a crayon.
Yeah, and we even went to Cass Art and bought some beautiful pastels, and I've just been like the colours and the pattern, and yeah, I mean it's a ridiculous thing for an artist to get excited about.
Yeah, that's your other bit of news.
Colour and shape really vibrant at the minute. I sort of feel like my eyes are having a bit of a moment. It's really exciting.
Yeah, like George had this moment when he came into the garden. We're recording at Century Studios in the minute. There's a beautiful garden outside, and he's just like, I love green.
Yeah, there's so many different types of green. All the flowers and leaves and everything. And it was, yeah. And I mean, Rob pointed out, like, well, it's springtime. But take a look around, guys. It is magical.
The world is full of beauty. And I think maybe that's a post-lockdown thing. We're so not in the mainstream that we're actually noticing life happening.
Well, we're not, you're not on the underground every 10 minutes and you're not rushing from this place to that place and you actually have time.
Babe, I went to
Regent's Park yesterday. The tulips, I almost cried. Like just every colour, beautiful shapes, really, really bright sunshine. It was nuts. Like, get outside, look at the world. It's fucking fierce.
Gosh, George, maybe our combined news is that we're feeling more well, and that's great.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, especially artists, will be feeling this. I know a lot of people who have seasonal depression.
Yeah.
And really struggle in the winter. And when it comes back out, you're like, oh, God.
But this is the thing as well about my news about being alone and feeling better. We've all created different boundaries, and those boundaries involve a lot less in our life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know many people that are trying to do more. I'm trying to do less, and it's great.
Yeah. We went to a pub the other day and there were loads of people out and we were just like, let's go. There's too many people.
Yeah. Imagine we left a pub sober. It was just insane.
Unheard of. But really, really lovely because we had a nice time in the sun and then it got a bit much and we left. And I think giving yourself that permission to feel like you don't have to cope with everything is really, really nice. And just going, do you know what? That's a hard limit. I've got to go. I used to go to 4 parties a night because I felt socially obligated to do so,
Please don't
Ridiculous.
do that anymore. No, we don't need to do that anymore. I think that's our little note for our news is do less and be more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other bit of news is that, and I can't say who it is, but this lovely woman got in touch with me on Instagram and was like, I'm writing a book of poetry. I'd love you to do the book cover. She sent me a bunch of her poems and we're going to start collaborating on a book of poetry where I do the cover, which is so nice because she found me. She was like, I love your style. It just gave me a real confidence boost. And then I've done some sketches for her, which I've sent over that she liked. And then, yeah, hopefully within the year, I'll have a picture on a book.
That's beautiful.
Which is really exciting.
That's where your stuff needs to be.
It's exciting because it gives me confidence that I don't normally have. When someone comes to you and says, I really like your work, can you do this? You're like, oh yeah, that's amazing. And it's like I do get a bit, I don't even think it's nervous or unsure. I think I get a bit shy about my work. And when people validate you, it is really important. It feels really special.
I think that's another thing to take forward, listeners. If you can go and validate another artist, that would mean the world to them.
Yeah.
Regardless to where they are. Like, I messaged your man in Watkins and said, your art is lovely. And he was like, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. And that, leave the comment on Instagram. Yeah. You don't have to buy something. I mean, buy something, obviously.
Because a lot of the time I'm triggered by jealousy when I see another photographer that I think is brilliant. And I'm like, oh, fuck them, stamping them, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to say, your work is amazing. Your lighting is beautiful. I just want to let you know. Most of the time they think I'm weird and they don't get back to me. Some of the time they're like, I needed that.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time, especially with when people haven't been working and people have been isolated, people haven't been having shows or galleries haven't been open. I've missed it. I want to go to the V&A. Like, I want to go to all the galleries. Like, theatre and art have been absent for a year and it's been a real struggle.
It's been a bit of a slog, but we're coming back and we're circulating again and we just need to start congratulating each other stupidly. Yeah. You're doing great, George.
You're doing great too,
You're doing
Rob.
really well.
This is nice.
Yeah.
The only other news we have is combined news.
Oh, yeah, and it goes with this episode because this episode is a little bit sexy.
It's TG Productions are renovating. They got a grant and they're renovating the Metalworks in Islington, which is one of my absolute favourite alternative venues in London. Like, it's survived the test of time.
Did you go to Slimelight?
Slimelight, Torture Gardens, Rumpus with gorgeous Santi.
Just like we had this whole decade together, going to Electroworks, having a lovely time with some lovely, extra lovely time.
Yeah.
And this whole thing happened, this tribe of people happened. It's had to come to an end, and the rejuvenation that Alan Pelling, who runs Torture Garden, is doing, it's beautiful.
Yeah, Laura Drake Chambers got us onto the job, who we've spoken about a lot before in the podcast. And just to be in that space, first of all, in the daytime, is fucking weird. But secondly, to be making, doing beautiful scenic work on the walls and the ceilings, to be painting it, to be giving it the love it deserves for the alternative community, for you guys, is... profoundly special. It was really hard work because we were wallpapering a ceiling.
Oh my God. But shall we just skip over that? And guys, just imagine what it's like to wallpaper a ceiling and done.
Yeah. Figure it out in your head.
I loved it. I loved it when like the older chippy guys and the other workers were like, oh, that's our job. Wouldn't fancy that. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. No, but it was so
cute. They were sweet.
Because someone came on with, someone had their headphones on and was like, oh, was that guy mansplaining that to you? And we were like,
congratulating us.
Congratulating us on being able to do it. It was so lovely.
We did a great job of that, though. And like when it does open up again, get yourselves there. It's a fully accessible venue on the ground floor at least. And that's where all the good stuff happens.
Yeah,
so.
They're going to open it as a restaurant. They're going to have drag brunches. They're going to have immersive dining experiences.
You can get married there.
They're going to have club nights. Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Well, that's maybe my other news, is Ali and I are going to get married at Hello Darling.
Stop having... You are a news hog this week.
Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'll stop. That's all my news. End.
Right next to me, we have Rosie. Rosie Pendlebaby. Have I said it right?
You have, yeah.
Fuck. Never happens. Rosie Pendlebaby is a performer, art historian, facilitator and activist working across the UK and internationally. She's the director of Revolting Arts Club, I love that, and the co-founder of Body Love Sketch Club, making work that explore... I can't read very well. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back to the start of that sentence. Body Love Sketch Club, making work that explores the intersection of art, hedonism and healing. A committedly perverse polymath, she enjoys eating cake in bed, climbing trees and running around in her pants. Did I do it?
That was amazing. Yeah. Hi, Rosie. Great to have you with us.
Hi.
How are you this morning?
I'm really great, thank you. I'm very excited to be here. It's very exciting.
It bloody is. So we know you from Divine Proportions. Which we did in the vault.
Yeah.
That was a
That
thing.
was amazing. I can't believe how long ago it was.
I know, it was terrifyingly long ago. One of my favourite things about that, though, was the way that you and I just like lapsed into assuming that we were best friends immediately, because I thought I recognised you, George.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, okay, we're just really over familiar instantly. And we carried on.
No, but I love that because I really like when you meet energy from people, it's you so often, especially in those environments, you get to know people so quickly, and it was so lovely.
I mean, that show combined us all so well, you know. There's not one person that's on that show that I'm not friends with, that I don't absolutely love. But moving on, and the reason why I really want to hear it is your smutty letters. Can you tell us about them?
Okay, so just over a year ago, when we all suddenly found ourselves locked up into our homes when the viral plague apocalypse struck, and a friend asked me if I would run an online workshop on what I wanted to do. And just instinctively, I just kind of thought, smutty letters, because I've always loved love letters, and I've always found different ways to weave them into performances, like interactive things at festivals and stuff. And I just thought, what better way to communicate and to reach out and to connect with one another during lockdown than through sending each other letters. And what better letter is there than a smutty letter?
There's no better
really
letter.
So I did the first workshop, and then it's like, yeah, I'll say about my granddads. So I did the first workshop, and it was quite an intense time because my Dad had passed away a
love.
few days earlier. He had cancer, and so I was kind of in Dorset with my stepmom. And I kind of almost didn't do the first workshop, and then I just decided I'd do it anyway. And I'm so glad I did, because it was really heartwarming and hilarious and affirming and, you know, great. It was a great thing to do. And then in this strange turn of events, a few days after I'd done the first workshop, when I was going through all of my dad's stuff, I basically, my stepmother handed me this stack of papers to sort through, and I was just rifling through them, being like, boring, 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 boring. And then I found this stash of letters that my grandfather had written my grandmother in what I've come to call the lonely winter of 1956. And boy, oh boy, they were some seriously masterful, smutty letters. And they're now amongst my most prized possessions. And,
wow.
You know, I just took it as some kind of sign from the universe that smutty letters are in my blood. And this is obviously what I'm supposed to do with my life.
That's so
and,
cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any of the letters with you here today?
I do.
Should we read one?
Yeah.
Would you? That would be so nice.
Okay.
Oh, I've got goosebumps, George. Literally.
That's so cool. I hadn't registered that you'd kind of come up with the project before you found the letters. I thought the letters were the starting point. That's such a nice way round.
Oh my God, it's
so
beautiful.
Yeah,
so Rosie's opening this envelope, and what's falling out looks like my stage management props. They're just these perfect old letters on minting old smoky paper. It's beautiful.
So stunning. The
Written
handwriting's incredible.
Pen. Take it away, Rosie, whenever you're ready.
I mean, I'm just going to, because they're pretty much all great, I'm just going to go with the first one that I've picked out because, I mean, it's good. They're all good. So this one was from Friday the 16th of November. And this was when my grandfather was posted in the sewers. He was in the military. And so he was writing to my grandmother, who was back home in the UK with my dad and my uncle as little boys. The letters kind of follow a bit of a format. So the first half of the letter will be kind of fairly generic or mundane, and him sort of reporting back on, you know, sort of shopping for antiques and stuff, or just being bored a lot of the time. And then about halfway through the letters, they'll kind of segue into this slightly significantly smuttier. So I'm going to not read the whole thing. I'm going to go about halfway through and read from...
Get to the meat.
Yeah, 'cause, you know, the other stuff's nice, but, you know, we want the juice. So... I don't think I make a terribly good soldier, sweetie, because I'm too wrapped up in my wife and family. I feel only half alive and unable to give of my best without you. Life is so shallow, and most of the meaning gone if you are not there for me to turn to. You see, it is in the everyday things of life, the being together, as well as the strong sexual aspect, that my life is built. I loved you terribly in the very early days when we had first met each other, but I love you so much more now, so deeply, and with a terrible longing that my earlier love for you pales into insignificance compared with the terrific feeling I have for you now. You seem more able to express your love personally when we are together. I'm not so good at that. Conversely, when we are apart, I seem more able than you to express my love for you on paper. However it is, I believe we love each other now in the most wonderful and complete way. Is it so with you, my darling? A wonderful, overwhelming, cozy, exciting, and tremendous feeling. Wendy, darling Wendy, answer these questions.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Wait for it. Why do you like me to bite your ear? Do you agree that our technique now for lovemaking seems to suit us so well, namely side by side with you until you cannot stand it any longer? Do you like me to caress your breast softly or hard when you are excited? Do you like me to press down on the little mountain with one hand while I caress the moist island in the cleft with the other?
Wow.
Do you like to hold my fingers and guide them as they caress you in between your legs? Do you like to... Sorry. Do you like to feel me as I'm working in you? Is there something I do which you do not like? Or is there something you would like me to do which I don't do? Would you like me to kiss you next time we are together on the mouth, in the hollow of your neck, on your soft shoulders and down to your sweet breasts, so that the nipples rise between my lips, across your tummy to your round, smooth thighs, and then diving between your thighs, so that your other lips and my lips and tongue are one? Do you like to grip my shoulders when I come over you?
Wow.
Would you like me to force your legs open when it's coming and you feel like you want to stretch them out? Or is it better for me to rise over you so you can stretch them? Wendy, I love you. Wendy, darling, sweet love, answer. Do answer. Because I'm loving you so much. Is it like that? I'm right up the wall.
Wow.
My love, Peter.
Yeah. Wow. That was a wank in a letter, wasn't it? Yeah. Like, I can just imagine him in his little cabin just being like, Wendy!
My favourite bit of you reading that, Rosie, is that he obviously ran out of space going down the page. And so he's flipped it sideways and written horizontally.
And it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Gorgeous. That's incredible.
No, that's your granddad, yeah?
That's my granddad, yeah.
Is he still with us?
No.
Is Wendy still with us?
No, neither of them are still with us.
Okay. So that's probably, it might be for the best.
It's incredible.
It's quite beautiful.
It's very beautiful, and it's nice to think that people communicated like that back then.
I mean, it
even
kicks
though it
a
was
sext
private,
in the ass, doesn't it?
A kind of your view of that era is that everything was quite, well-to-do and proper, and actually that there was that.
Of course, we're still animals, aren't we? And we're still
amazing.
I mean, I love his letters because I think they're I'm obviously biased, but I think they're kind of like this perfect smutty letter because they're deeply, deeply romantic, but they're also filthy.
Yeah.
And which is kind of perfect, really.
It's quite beautiful as well because that's the reason you're here. Is their love, we wouldn't have you here, so thanks.
Yeah,
that's really incredible. Yeah. Beautiful.
And they're also hilarious. They are really hilarious. Like one of the letters, when you were saying it's a wank in a letter, one of them says something like, "This morning, I had to get a clean pair of pajama trousers for reasons you can well imagine."
And here, how can we hear more of this? Can you tell us?
Well, I do smutty letter writing workshops where I do readings of smutty letters, some by my granddad, other ones that I found, and then also do guided writing exercises to get people writing some smutty letters of their own. So that is the main
cool.
place.
That's beautiful.
I think it's really nice to offer that to people as well, because I do think lots of people struggle with communicating about stuff like that, and just to liberate those conversations.
It's something I need to welcome into my life because I'm a bit of a vanilla pod, uptight kind of person when it comes to all things sexual.
But I think so many of us are, if you think about it, our creativity and our sexuality are two of the areas where we carry the most shame and judgment and anxiety. And so
that's a lovely comparison. That's really true, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you it takes practice to sort of feel your way through it. And I hope that is what the workshops do, that they're a kind of loving, playful space to kind of experiment with expressing ourselves in that way, with a sense of humor and lots of kindness. And
we've talked about that a lot, because when I was working at Regulation, which is a fetish latex and leather fetish shop, we had to have conversations with customers about what they wanted, the tools and equipment and their fetishes and kinks. And you learn to navigate that space with a sense of humour and with kindness and with understanding and no judgment.
Yeah.
And that's such a good lesson, I think, for just
that's
everyone.
Something we both come from, because I used to work when I was 17, I used to work at Miss Fantasia's on South William Street. And it was a sex shop, and often people would come in and, geez, I remember the police officer that used to arrest us all as kids came in, but obviously my anonymousness had to go down, and he was like, "You shouldn't be working here." And I was like, "You shouldn't be here."
Catch 22, motherfucker.
And we kind of laughed it off. And then I took him around the shop. This is before the internet and stuff like that. Yeah. So I was like, "This is our video section." It's like, "What are you looking for?" And we had this really professional and kind conversation about something that he needed in his life, and everybody needs in their life.
Yeah, that's really nice.
You know, and we should all be a little bit more open and kind when it comes to how to explore such a thing.
It's funny as well, because actually there's a sort of parallel in my own story of like becoming an artist and creative and the work that I do, because it's sort of, I started off working and performing at fetish parties and things. That was my whole kind of way into doing all of the various ridiculous things that I do now. And I don't think I would be working as a performer and creative if I hadn't had that kind of way in, being in those spaces where people do have permission.
Having mentioned the shoot, we should probably talk about that.
My gosh,
because that was just, my heart exploded with love that day. It was perfect.
So the reason why we've come back with Rosie after lockdown and everything like that is because we offer the pay what you can at Hello Darling. And Rosie, within 20 minutes, had gotten in touch. And I was like, of course, yes, this is going to be great. We booked in, and it had been so long since we'd seen our friends.
Yeah.
I can't even start the giddiness that was around us that day. The shot we're going to use as a thumbnail for this episode anyway, you can see how beautiful it is. My gosh, where do we start with that day at Hello Darling?
You bought so much to it. So tell us about, because it was your birthday that day.
It was my birthday
brought a
that
cake
day,
with you.
and I bought a cake with me, and I sat in the cake, and the cake said "What a time to be alive" on it. Because really, if you're doing a fantastic photo shoot with two brilliant friends and artists in an amazing location, and it's your birthday, you should obviously sit in a birthday. When else are you going to have such a great opportunity to sit in your own birthday cake? So we made sure that happened. And also took some photos kind of inspired by the smutty letters. Like I had a little paper hat with
the
ruff that I made with the sweaty buttocks. So I wrote out one of James Joyce's smutty letters. James Joyce, the author of Ulysses, who apparently was quite a well-to-do person who didn't really like swearing and all sorts, but he wrote these absolutely filthy letters to his wife Nora. And I wrote one of them out onto a big piece of paper and then made it into a paper hat, which quite obviously says sweaty buttocks. And
it's so beautiful.
It's so gorgeous.
Sweaty buttocks, cakey buttocks. There was a lot of bum.
There was a lot. Oh, I love it. I love it. But we sat you down in the yellow room, and George cleared a table and sat you down like a little standard lamp, and then started directing you to be a lamp.
To be a lamp. Because, I mean, it just got so ridiculous, didn't it? Because you looked like this beautiful lamp on top of this little table in this room that's painted with all these lovely flowers. And that was the only direction I could think of. I was like, okay, you're a lamp, someone's coming. And your face just... We were in fucking stitches.
Turn yourself off.
And on.
Be more lamp.
Be more lamp. That photo is so sensational because you just... There's sort of panic in your eyes. And you're like, okay, I'm a lamp. It's so wonderful.
I'm so lamp. I won't lie, bit of wee came out.
Oh my God. We were all three of us literally pissing ourselves laughing. And it just... But then, after a year, it just needed that.
It had been so long since I'd been in a moment of hysterics.
That was what it really was, quite hysterical, like literally.
But it got worse. Shall we tell the people how it got worse?
Yes, of course.
So we went downstairs to the kitchen in Hello Darling, and Harriet, who's the artist there and who's kind of put it all together, she was like, okay, so there's a couple coming around to look at it for a wedding venue. Don't mind us, you just carry on. It'll add to the magic. But up they come the stairs.
Such a sweet couple.
There was such a darling couple, they really were. But we were in the kitchen and you were in your, it's colourful fetish gear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sitting in a cake.
I was just sat there in the cake and they appeared in the doorway.
I was stood in the doorway because Harriet was like, they're coming up. And I was like, but. So I'm stood in the doorway being like, I'm terribly sorry, we're doing a photo shoot. And this woman just like comes closer towards me and sticks her head round the doorframe just as Rosie's sitting into the cake.
And I'm like, that's great. Just bring your arse forward and up. Great.
Oh, don't mind us.
But we just had a meltdown.
It was when three people don't even try not to laugh. We were all like, this, you can't suppress this kind of hysteria.
No, because we'd already been just laughing so hysterically about the lamp business.
Yeah, it was what I would say, and it actually reflects perfectly in the photos. It's just joy.
Absolute joy. And I think it sort of ties into the smutty letters and the comedy and sexuality and smut and
friendliness.
All of that stuff can kind of combine, and it doesn't have to be this big sort of secret conversation that you can't have with people. You can have these incredible experiences that are just celebrating what's fairly natural to all of us.
It's actually the reason why we're all here is smut.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like when we're kids, we run around sort of so kind of shamelessly with like, not in a sexy, smutty way, obviously, but just with like our like bodies, our creativity, all of these things. And as we get older, we just take on so much worry about ourselves and about what people think and feel like we need to hide parts of ourselves. Then we grow up and we're all uptight and embarrassed and anxious. And then when you kind of give yourself permission to express yourself playfully and with humor, and you give yourself permission to be silly and funny, and it just opens like everything up. And in the same way that kind of, you know, like sex is more fun and better when you can have a laugh about it, and when, you know, you're not afraid to kind of, when, you know, if you queef, you can have a good laugh, or you don't worry if you've got 10 chins, or just like, it's a lot more fun than if you're being kind of like, oh, how many chins do I have? Do I look good from this angle? Oh my goodness, I just queefed. I hope they didn't hear me. Like, that is less fun than just, you know.
Yeah, just going at it and having a good time.
Exactly.
Yeah, just go, how embarrassing. Let's keep going.
How hilarious. Just, and like, that you can just apply that to life in general or anything. Just have a hilarious time.
We should probably move on to the interview, which is the kind of more formal kind of thing. It's more about like you as a whole as an artist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're good to do that.
Yeah,
we
we ask everyone these questions.
Everyone gets asked these questions, darling. But we'll start with number one. How on earth did it all start for you?
Well, I sort of referenced this a little bit at the beginning when I said about fetish parties, but I think I was a bit of an accidental artist.
Great.
I was always very creative as a kid. My favourite thing to do was cutting and sticking. I didn't really want to play with toys. I wanted to make stuff. But then all through school, because I was quite smart, I was always just having like academia rammed down my throat and being told that I had to kind of, being steered towards this very serious, sensible academic career, told that I should go to Oxbridge, told that I couldn't do art and drama for GCSE because I was too academic and things like that. In a like loving, supporting people wanting the best for me and not valuing the arts sort of way. But, you know, undoubtedly with the best intentions.
It is sad, isn't it?
And then when I eventually ended up at uni and I was studying history of art at a very prestigious university for it, and I think I was even studying history of art because I still felt like I needed to do something academic rather than actually make art.
Yeah.
And then while I was at uni, I just sort of like discovered London's weird and wonderful underbelly and was kind of going to squat raves and going to fetish parties and started performing and working as a life model and doing all of the kind of like random freelancey bits that then became my career once I left university.
Yeah.
And it's just, I almost feel like there were these sort of paving slabs of academia just being slammed on top of me while the whole time I was growing up in just art and creativity and whatever the hell I'm doing just kept finding a way around and up, and here I am.
That's
doing
a very
nice.
That's a really relatable story.
Really,
I think for a lot of us, just became jobbing freelancers, and then all of a sudden I don't work in a pub anymore, and like I'm an artist.
Accidentally become an artist.
Yeah.
What keeps you doing it? What's your motivation to keep going?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's so just. It's who I am. I can't help it. Like, you know, even whilst growing up and, you know, being molded into something else or steered towards other things. This is just kind of what's happened. And it's not really like there's much separation between me and my work. It's all the same thing. And thank goodness I get paid for it sometimes, because otherwise I'd be stuck. But it's just the way that I kind of make sense of the world and myself. And I think I've done a lot of self-therapizing through self-art therapying. Is that a word?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because when I was a teenager and stuff, I had some really bad mental health stuff going on. I was in hospital. I had an eating disorder and depression and self-harmed and all of that kind of stuff. And I remember actually, this is probably an important part of the story. So I did my GCSEs where I couldn't do art and drama because I was too smart, and I chose to do drama. And then when it came to doing my A-levels, I did them 2 years later because I'd basically been in hospital for 2 years. And when it came to picking my subjects, I just kind of marched into the art department and I was like, hello, I've just been in hospital for 2 years and I don't have art for GCSE, but I would like to do art A-level. Can I do art A-level, please? I think it would be good for me. And the head of art was just like, okay, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's amazing.
What a relief.
And it's just like this instinct that I've always had towards creativity as a way to connect with ourselves and with each other and to make change and to make life rich and colourful and beautiful. And so, yeah, that was a bit of a waffle.
It's not a waffle. It makes incredible sense. And that's something that we can definitely all relate to. It's like we have to keep going.
It's a good message as well, isn't it? Is that if someone in your life is wanting to do something creative, don't stifle it.
Don't do it because you can make them ill. You can really upset
struggled
people.
I had a similar thing with the art history thing. It was like, do the art history because that's academic, and it's like, but I'm a maker, so it's not going to help me make anything. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. It's good to have the art history though.
Oh
yeah, completely.
Absolutely. And it was amazing. I'd like to go to that university and to study those things, but it's interesting because it really, I feel like it affirmed I remember being in my final year and the careers advisor sort of telling me that I should have gone to Goldsmiths instead because I didn't fit. I mean, I really didn't fit in. I was like older and, going off and working at squat raves, going to squat raves and working at fetish parties. I remember the night before my final exam, I went trotting off to work and I was being this sort of like ridiculous clown character in a ball pit in a club in a nightclub in Soho, and
amazing.
Everyone that I was at uni with was just like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I mean, I could go and sit around in a ball pit all night and be at work, or I could be at home trying to cram or freaking out, and I know which I'm going to enjoy more. So
yeah, exactly.
What a way to live a life. That's kind of me and George's philosophy. It's like, let's enjoy the now instead of really stressing. Because, I think for all of us, from that pressure of our past to achieve and all of that, the minute we let that go, it's like happy.
Yeah. And the arts are so undervalued. I mean, that's societally, culturally, and yet it's absolutely essential. It's the ground of who we are. And I don't even believe that there are some people who are artists and some people who aren't. I think creativity is this essential thing in all of us, and that some of us sort of like it splurges out and other people, but I don't believe that there's a single person who doesn't have a creative streak of
everyone. I think
some sort in them.
It's funny when people say, I'm not creative at all. And it's like, well, you got dressed, you put that outfit together, you've chosen
it almost makes
objects
me
in your
cross.
house. Like it's you everyone has it, you just need to nurture it.
I know we've kind of gone over this, but it is one of the questions. Is there any bits that you found particularly hard to work through?
It took me a long time to be able to say I'm an artist.
It's the biggest hurdle, isn't it?
Yeah, it took me a long time. I remember a few years ago suddenly realizing and I had so much panic about being able to support myself as a creative as well. Not that, it's necessarily easy, but I remember having this moment where I just realised that I was living in London in this incredibly expensive city and supporting myself as a creative freelancer. And I still get a funny, weird lump in my throat, or kind of like when you're asked what you do. And just the easiest way of summing it up is to say I'm an artist.
Yeah.
But I'll be a bit like, I'm an artist.
That was one of my biggest hurdles. And I remember because I'd left the Deptford Arms, I'd left everything, and I decided I'm an artist. And I remember meeting people shaking their hand. They're like, what do you do? It's like, I'm an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
I still struggle with it. I'm like, well, I'm an illustrator event, but just like, I've got to stop doing
stop it. Like, I even go, I'm a photographer just so people think I'm smart first. And it's like, I'm a fucking artist.
I used to say I'm a performer kind of thing. But it's not. I'm an artist.
I'm an artist.
Yeah, we do more than those kind of binary things. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, the last question is my favourite question. What have been the best bits? What are the bits that you treasure most?
Oh my goodness. It's so hard because there have been so many wonderful, rich, ridiculous, hilarious, strange experiences that I've had, that I've been incredibly lucky to have through this job. And it's almost kind of trying to think of them as like being in a zoetrope of crazy memories. And it's hard to kind of pinpoint a single one. Yeah.
Is it the journey?
The journey.
Is it the journey in total? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it just making things and doing things?
It's just been this whole, it's made life feel so kind of meaningful. And it's, I mean, I guess maybe it is the journey, and it continues to be. It's just that connection with the self and with other people and with the world around. And some of it's heartbreaking and some of it's hilarious and some of it's beautiful. And, you know, I've been kind of in a chicken suit in an inflatable dinghy and kind of being crowd surfed, waving a giant foam olive on a cocktail stick. Kind of, you know, that's happened. And then I've also been kind of in a crowd of performers, like getting like in between a crowd of protesters and a big line of policemen who were behaving quite in a challenging way. And, you know, so it's been, and I've been in shows, and I don't know.
You've cut my hair off in a show. Do you
I've
remember
cut
that?
Your hair off in a show and put it in a little jar. What a creepy weirdo!
That's amazing.
I think like when
cool.
we do touch in our careers, it is just joy and it is light, and it's just, you know, like we've all been through quite a year, including yourself, and when I reached back out to you, it was light back in my life, and George started to like colour again. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, like, your outfit today has made me so happy because you're just a big ball of colour. Like,
I've thought of another thing that's like the best bit is I get messages. The messages that we get after doing our Body Love Sketch Club workshops, which is a project I do with my friend Ruby, which is all about body positivity and creative empowerment, where we have the life models are volunteers from the participants, and we draw them in a really celebratory, devotional way and say lots of lovely things to them, and also really encourage, you know, like we were saying about freeing up everyone's creativity. It's a life drawing class where we don't give a crap whether your drawings are in inverted commas good or not. We care about you giving yourself permission to express yourself creatively.
Oh, that's so perfect.
So when we get messages after that, and when I get sort of like messages after the smutty letter workshops and things from people saying how that's helped them, like that is probably the best
really
thing.
Special.
Yeah.
I guess on that note, it's worth doing all of your
shout-outs.
Yeah, like where can we find out about the workshops, and where can we follow you on Instagram and social medias?
Yeah, so I'm in the process of building websites slowly. So for now, you can find me on Instagram, and you can find me at Revolting Rosie, all one word. You can find Body Love Sketch Club, this project that I do with my wonderful friend Ruby, at Body Love Sketch Club. And then you can find the smutty letters and my kind of solo arts facilitation stuff at Revolting Arts Club. And
that's amazing.
You can find the Red Rebel Brigade by just Googling Red Rebel Brigade.
Oh my God, you'll be blown away. Thank you, Rosie, for joining us on our little podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I feel very honoured to be here and just delighted.
It's been so special having you. Honestly, like, it's just from the photo shoot to now, it's just
joy. I can't stop.
So
like
joyous.
My cheeks are hurting.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
Oh,
yeah, it's magic.
Thank you so much, you wonderful beans.
I have needed to pee for quite a while.
Do you know? Me too.
George, do you want to take it away with your favourite thing? What's your favourite thing?
My favourite thing at the moment is water.
Okay.
We got here today. We got here today, and Emma was like, "Do you want a glass of water?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And then she produced a bottle of water, and just really refreshing actually after a lockdown of being pretty drunk a lot of the time.
George, I'm so glad you're drinking water.
Having a nice glass of water is a real. Go get a glass of water, guys. It's a real treat.
Actually, you know, that's one of my things for when I'm having a bit of a mare anxiety-wise. First thing to do is just have a drink of water.
Just drink a whole big glass of water. It's one of mine as well. If I'm having a little freak out, just drink a glass of water. I will not feel better by the bottom of it.
Yeah. I forget.
Yeah,
I do
you always
forget,
feel a
and then
little bit
suddenly
better.
I'll go to the tap and drink like 3 glasses of water and be like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
George, I have to say, I always poo-poo your favourite things. Fucking brilliant. You're genius.
Thanks, man.
Rosie, do you have a favourite thing?
I've got loads of favourite things. The first favourite thing that came to mind is I got given this really obnoxious desk bell that is enormous and looks like a crab.
Amazing.
I love it.
And it's just such an object of joy. It's so niche. I don't know why anybody made it, other than the fact that I would obviously love it, but I don't know the person who made it. So how did they know that there would be at least one person out there, or presumably enough people out there who would appreciate this strange object to make it marketable? But it's beautiful.
It's really funny that you say that, because our very good friend Amber Denault, who listens to the podcast, also has the giant crab desk bell.
No!
And it's on her hall table in the hallway in the upstairs of their flat. And every time I walk past it, you can't help yourself. It's ding!
But it makes such a beautiful noise as well. It's
So
like, because
nice.
it's large, it's not sort of really tinny and obnoxious like a lot of desk bells. It's got a really like lovely resonance
legs
to
go.
it.
Yeah. How can I buy one?
hilarious.
I would just Google crab bell.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You're turning to me to my favourite thing now. There's so many things that could be my favourite thing. I don't know what my favourite... Do you know what my favourite thing is? It's my yellow Illamasqua eyeshadow in the shade of Sister.
Oh, it's gorgeous. You're wearing it now.
It's stunning.
Bright and bouncy. And it just... People don't usually comment on it, but it does cheer up the room. Wear yellow eyeshadow,
I
guys.
tried it once. Oh, no, can't. Tried it once. I look really jaundiced. Like,
Did
it really
you?
suits you. I look really
Oh,
odd.
thank you. Maybe it's because my skin is so pale.
Yeah. I think because mine's very red, it just looks, it sort of bleeds into it too much. It looks gorgeous on you.
I love
it's
favourite
stunning.
things.
Yellow is really underrated, I think, as well. Like,
It's
yellow
my
as a
favourite colour.
It's gorgeous.
It's the most temperamental of colours as well, because if you dare touch it with any other fucker, it's like, no, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm brown now. You know?
Clean smut.
Clean smut.
Wholesome.
Clutch.
Wholesome
filth.
clut. What else?
Hawks.
Do you want to stay for the poetry moment?
Oh my gosh, do I? I love being read to.
And I'm such a good reader. I'm not. I'm profoundly dyslexic. But this is something that everyone should have. I pretty much leak them. Actually, I gave one to Tom Beach, whose studio this is. There's Poetry Pharmacy #1 by William Seeger. It's a collection of like antidotes or like kind of medicine for a feeling. But on the last podcast, I couldn't fucking find this one because I'd lost it. It's just in my bag. It was in my work bag. And it's the Poetry Pharmacy Returns. More prescriptions for courage, healing and hope.
Oh.
And that one goes with your hair.
It
It's a nice
does.
blue
Thankfully, it goes with... It's like slightly teal coloured. So let's pick a condition. I'm going to read some out. Rosie, tell me when to stop. Grief. Romantic exhaustion.
colour. Romantic exhaustion. I'm sick of you.
Agonising... No, not that one. Second guessing. Unrealised talents.
Ooh.
Should we do that one?
Unrealised talents could be good for all of the suppressed artists
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's
who might be listening.
perfect. It's also suitable for hiding away or procrastination, which is ideal.
I've been doing a lot of both of those.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect one. And it's called I Felt Love by Hafiz, translated by Daniel Ladinsky. How did the rose ever open its heart and give to this world all its beauty? It felt the encouragement of light against its being. Otherwise, we all remain too frightened. Over. Or end.
Perfect.
That's really lovely. That's a
really,
nice
really
one.
beautiful.
From what we were saying. That like fear. Oh, beautiful.
That was quite nice. It's also the first time I read that, so I'm super duper proud of myself.
Yeah, that's really good.
well
Well
Would
done.
anybody else like to do a poetry moment?
Yeah, I'll read one.
I mean, I have written. Oh, will I read out while we're waiting for George to pick one? Will I do the poem that I wrote about the secret
Oh, I
ingredient?
found one
Please.
already.
Oh, okay.
The book just opened at existential crisis. How dare you?
Go on, George. You fire ahead.
Okay, cool. So this is called Primary Wonder by Denise Levitoff. Days pass when I forget the mystery, problems insoluble and problems offering their own ignored solutions. Jostle for my attention, they crowd in antechamber along with a host of diversions, my courtiers wearing their coloured clothes, caps and bells. And then, once more, the quiet mystery is presented to me. The throng's clamour recedes. The mystery that there is anything at all, let alone cosmos, joy, memory, everything, rather than void, and that, O Lord Creator, hallowed one, you still, hour by hour, sustain it.
Thank you, God.
That's
that
cute.
was deep.
It's really deep.
God, that was really big.
Ba-bam! There you go, Rosie.
Rosie, do you want to flick? Do you want to go right ahead or do you want to flick for a minute?
I'll flick for a minute. I'd love to hear your poem.
Oh,
Oh,
thanks.
yeah, you do a poem. Which book is it? Is it
It's
this one?
not, no, I have it in my head. It's all right.
Oh, nice.
It's very easy. And it's called Secret Ingredient. So, Coca-Cola, with your secret ingredients, you have to list all the ingredients. I mean, if I came up with a great soda and the secret ingredient was nuts, I'd fucking kill people with my secret. Maybe Coca-Cola's secret ingredient is love. Oh no, that would kill people too. End.
So weird. I love it.
So weird and so bleak and so poignant as well.
Sorry.
My favourite thing is in Kung Fu Panda when he's making the noodles with his dad, who's a goose. And he tells his son the secret ingredient and it's nothing.
Oh.
And it's so cute. Watch Kung Fu Panda.
It's great.
I've never liked it. I've watched it 3 times. I've never enjoyed it.
You're not into it. I think I've only ever watched it when I was very drunk. And it was
That
quite
makes
weird.
sense. It is really odd.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself a condition?
I have. And the condition is alienation from nature, which, it was
Talked about today.
It was World Earth Day yesterday. And, I like nature and with all the Red Rebel Brigade stuff. So it just seemed like a suitable one. And it's called The Same Stream of Life by Rabindranath Tagore.
Ooh.
Rabindranath Tagore. Wow.
Great name.
The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and of death in ebb and in flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment.
That's really lovely. Beautiful.
Oh, it brought me on a whole journey. That's quite nice.
That's really lovely.
Oh, I love an old visual from a poem.
Yeah.
This looks great.
It's the fucking best.
They're absolutely brilliant, aren't
It's
they?
the tits. I swear to God. Thank you, William Seagart.
Yeah, and honestly, everyone go online, go to Waterstones, buy them.
Well, I buy them by 4 to go, and I go, are you a bit sad? Here, have this.
Or even bookshop.org, because they basically a sort of online directory of small independent booksellers.
Oh,
Oh,
amazing.
nice.
Say
Yeah.
that name again.
Bookshop.org.
I'm gonna go
Best place
there.
to get your books.
I have heard about them, and then they can contact your local bookshop and they'll order it for you and stuff like that, so that you're
Yeah.
supporting.
Don't
Yeah,
shop
nice.
on Amazon.
Are we even allowed to say that?
Yeah, we always say don't shop on Amazon. That's one of our key messages.
Oh, George.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode, guys. It's been an absolute treat to have Rosie here with us. We've covered a lot of ground. We've learnt some new things. It's been really exciting.
We've all grown just a little bit, which is nice.
Hope you've enjoyed.
As you all know, if you've been listening to this podcast, it is a self-funded project. You can be part of this picture by helping us and supporting us via our Patreon, www.patreon.com/artists-that-work. Yay! And for as little as £2 a month, you can just help the podcast, and all the way up to £17 a month, you can get a pack of art from me and George personally every month. It's a really lovely thing. We've also dropped all of our social media except Instagram, which has made us tremendously happier in our heads, and you can follow us there at Artists That Are Working. Or if you want to keep it more private, or you want to ask us something about sponsorships, or just send us loads of money, you can do so by emailing artiststhatarworking@gmail.com. And to be honest, just reach out and talk to us. We love hearing from you guys, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Many loves.
We are always looking for new sponsors and people that we can support in their work.
Send money now.
So send money now, but if you have a product or a show or something that you'd like us to say something about on the podcast, please get in touch. There won't always be a fee. We really, really want to help artists promote their work.
Tell us about your shows and stuff.
Tell us about stuff that's going on, and we will promote the hell out of it. Yeah, anyone with a show, get in touch. We want to know.
Yeah, and we also do our Pay What You Can, so keep an eye out on our Instagram for that, or you can become a patron. You find out ahead of time about offers that me and George put out into the ethos to help artists make work.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
Thanks, guys.
I love you.
We love you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Stop it. We can't even high five again. Can we?